Welcome, church family. Thanks for joining once again to get a quick update. What's happening with the finances, what's happening at the church. So thanks for joining us. My name is Tim. Let's get right into it. The income for January, it's not $1.4 million. It's actually an extra four right there. So we have $144,086 budget for January. We actually saw 111 come in. So it's about 30 grand short of kind of what we were thinking for January. But the expenses were 148 with actually 136. Netting us, we had budgeted to net for $4,000 loss. We actually saw a $24,000 loss. Let me kind of explain to you what's going on here. You're going to say, what happened? We lost an extra 20 grand. Who? Okay, hold on. Here's what's kind of been happening, how we got with the numbers. Every year when we do budgeting, what we do is we look at the last year's trending of what happens, and we use that to kind of help prognosticate or kind of assume some numbers moving forward. And so typical months that we would see lower giving, we would assume lower giving in the next month or in the next year. And then months where we see increased giving, we would assume increased giving for the following year. So we kind of see the same trending happen year over year. Last year, as you may remember, was a really awkward or different year in that we didn't see the increase in giving in December that we had expected, but for the rest of the year, for January until June, we actually saw an incredible increase in giving, actually more of a plateau last year, which is not normal. Typically, again, you'd see a lot of giving in December, and that would carry us for the rest of the year. Last December, we didn't see that. We saw something different altogether, and so these numbers are kind of based off last year's number. What's actually happening this year is we're going back to what normally will be the trending for these giving patterns. So for that reason, we were budgeting a $4,000 loss for this month, but we actually saw a $24,000 loss in the month of January. However, year to date, that's the most important. Where are we actually at for the entire year up till January? Well, up to this point in the budget, or up to this point in the year, we budgeted for $1 million, and we actually have seen over $1,060,000 come in this year. With expenses, we assumed $1.1 million in expenses, but we've actually only seen $1,046,000 in expenses. So that means that we were expecting to be at a $116,000 loss at this time based off last year's trending. However, we're almost sitting $120,000 above that with a $13,000 gain. So that means that essentially, if the numbers all pan out, we've had an extra 70 grand in giving coming in this year so far, and we've reduced our expenses by about 50 grand based off of some cost-saving measures here and there, some staffing changes we've made. All those kind of things play together. So you combine the 70 grand of extra giving plus the 50 grand of savings, put them together, and you have $130,000 difference for what you were expecting to get with what we're actually getting. So what does this mean for the rest of the year? What that means for the rest of the year is that we still have to make sure we are going to be net positive month over month to be able to make our budget for the end of the year. Again, we're cost-saving measures wherever we can, whatever we can do, but we do have ministry that has to happen here, and so we want to be faithful to that and to what God has given us, and we want to make sure that we're stewarding those resources well to for His kingdom and the purposes of His kingdom. So, church, thank you once again. A little bit convoluted. I wanted to explain it, take some time to kind of unpack that for you. If you have any questions, feel free to call Chris. I'm joking. Feel free to call me or email me at tim@kc.ca or the finance team, and we'd be happy to kind of walk you through any questions that you may have. Okay, so where are we at? We're restricted donations. So again, the numbers we just looked at were general numbers. What's the cost for wages, parking lot, paint, lights, all those things? These are the restricted donations. So whenever you give to these funds, they are set aside. It can only be used for these purposes. So Care Connections this year, we've seen $47,000 come in, and that money is in and out, really. As much as we bring in, we try and push out as much as we can, or that's the aim, is to push it all back out again into the community. Missional outreach, $60,000, and then the capital reserve, so far we've seen $47,000 come in this year for a total over and above operational expenses of $154,000. Total capital reserve fund balance for 48, or sorry, for the capital reserve fund balance for January 31st was 48, which means that we'd actually drained it all the way, given the parking lot repair that we did, but we're seeing funds come in, which is preparation for the capital campaign that we're looking to do later on this year. So, church, thank you very much for just your generosity and your faithfulness and your trust as we do good work here for His kingdom and His glory to make Him known. I'm going to punt it over. This year, as we've made an annual thing of, we did the Harper Mountain this year. And so just going to punt it over that way as we kind of look back and see how amazing that time was together.